Hello and welcome to Your Health in 15. My name is DIEDRE Bacon and today our topic is fitness. And we are so fortunate to have our own Fayetteville State yoga instructor, Jessica Reinken. Hi Jessica, how are you?
Hi DIEDRE, I'm great, thank you.
Good, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate you taking that time to come talk with us. So, we're talking about fitness. You're a yoga instructor and specifically you are a Kundalini yoga instructor, is that correct?
That's correct.
So I've never heard of that before. Please help me to understand, what type of yoga is that?
So Kundalini yoga, it's best described as a tool. A tool to become more at one with yourself and one with the ultimate we, the ultimate everybody else, the universe, the ethers, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah. And you accomplish that by doing kriyas, doing meditations. Kriya literally means action. So it's a set of certain movements or breaths and mudras, which is your hand posture, and some other things in there to bring you to a certain goal. So we have kriyas for happiness, for love. We also have kriyas for the endocrine system, for the kidneys, for things like that. So it's pretty wide.
So you have different kriyas, different moves that affect different systems.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So how does that differ from other forms of yoga?
Well, the other forms of yoga, there's Western forms of yoga, and then there's the big original yogas that are from India, that are from the East. So the ones that are that are kind of mainstream in the United States right now are ones that have kind of been birthed in the West, in the United States. So you've got your your hot vinyasa, you've got Baptiste, and other flows such as that. You'll know that it's Westernized because it's really hot, really bendy, really sweaty.
Gotcha.
And that's the goal.
Been there.
But with the original ones, which there's Kundalini, Hatha, Ashtanga, Iyengar, those ones are actually original. They originated in India and surrounding countries. Those are similar in the way that they are more spiritual. They don't necessarily have the goal to lose weight and to get more flexible. They more so have a spiritual goal, to become one with yourself, to become one with everybody else. The physical part just is really, really nice, So it's different in that way. We use a lot of chants. Like we start at the beginning of every practice, we start with the Adi mantra, Om Namo Gurudev Namo, which basically means I bow to myself, I bow to my own inner teacher and the universe.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and we always end with a song or a poem. So that's kind of a main part of how it's different.
I've taken yoga, I absolutely love it, but that's a little different. I haven't had an opportunity to experience that. So speaking of such, I know what my own experiences have been with yoga, but share with us, how does yoga benefit our bodies? I know we talked about spiritualness, but as far as Kundalini, how does that really benefit our bodies specifically?
Well, it benefits the body in multiple ways, not just the physical aspect of the body, because some of the poses, if you hold them for a long period of time, which in Kundalini we do hold poses for longer periods of time, you will see a physical reaction to that. Like there's a pose called boat pose, where there's boat pose and there's canoe, where you basically are sitting on your rear end, or you're balancing on your rear end while trying to keep everything up. So it does activate your abdominals. It does activate pretty much every single bone in your body. So if you do that, of course, you're going to see a physical reaction. There's other poses that create that physical, I'm starting to look a little different kind of thing. But I think that the main effect of yoga physically is really just becoming aware of your body. Yeah, and becoming aware of I have an ache here that I wasn't aware of before, or I'm actually this is what bloated feels like, or this is what hunger feels like, this is what all these different things
and that is so
feel
important.
like.
That is so important. Very so. As you stated, you can notice certain things, but can I lose weight? Can I lose weight doing yoga?
You absolutely can.
Okay.
I'm
all ears.
But just like with anything fitness related, it really has to be coupled with good food. You know, if you go to a hot, sweaty, bendy yoga class, then you come out and you go to eat a couple dozen cupcakes, or you go to Duck Donuts after every time
doesn't work.
you go. Not quite, because you're not like fueling your body in the way that it needs. Just like you wouldn't put water in a car for gas, you wouldn't put that into your body to give it the fuel that it needs. And the other major aspect of weight loss related to yoga is, again, it comes to awareness. It comes to awareness of, oh, I am eating extra calories when I'm bored, you know, because Kundalini yoga particularly makes you aware of your body and makes you aware of everything around you. So instead of just mindlessly eating snacks or just mindlessly doing anything to your body, you become aware of it. Also, there's Kundalini Kriyas for getting rid of, like, for habits, like getting rid of, like, smoking and... Is
that right?
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting thing. Like, some people use it for the big mental illnesses as well.
Is that right? So yoga is this type of yoga. Is that effective? So we're talking about curing mental health.
Genuine, greatly helping. I'm not going to say.
Okay, maybe
not going to say curing.
Okay, right. But can make a difference.
But I can definitely tell you, like from my own experience.
That is amazing. Yeah. So with this type of yoga, how long or how many times a week, how many times a month would you have to participate in this type of yoga in order to start seeing benefits?
It depends on what benefit you're trying to get to.
Okay.
If you're trying to get to a physical benefit, then it just depends on the body. It depends on your own body. Some people, they immediately start seeing something within a week. And that would be after like every day doing something like 30 minutes. Other people, it might take them, an incrementally longer amount of time.
Gotcha.
But as far as how many times a week or a month they would need to, that would be, it can be anything from like 5 minutes to 30 minutes or an hour or so. It really depends on what you do with that time.
Okay.
If you're meditating and doing kind of lower aerobic poses, then you're not going to see a physical bodily reaction, of course, because you're not putting your body through that physical stress.
Gotcha.
But
makes sense.
But of course, if you're some Kundalini Kriyas, I could make you sweat pretty hard. I can make you sweat with just a sun salutation easily.
Okay.
But it really depends.
That's amazing.
I would say. Yeah.
That is very, very interesting. And Jessica, you were talking about diet. Mm-hmm. Of course, that always is so important in any type of exercise you do. In doing Kundalini yoga, is there a certain diet that's associated? Is there certain things you should be aware of, or is it just a basic, or normal, like eating healthy type of?
Well, with Kundalini yoga, it's vegetarian, pretty strict vegetarian, not vegan, because in Kundalini yoga we do welcome cheese, like lactose, those sorts of things, because there's, of course, parts of our body that produce mucus, which sounds disgusting, but we need it.
Absolutely.
And the lactose in cheese and dairy does help to open that up. Now, I will tell you personally, I don't adhere to veganism or vegetarianism. I used to for the longest time. But again, Kundalini yoga is about awareness. It's about being aware of yourself. And I started to realize that I was feeling bloated, that I was feeling run down, and I just wasn't feeling myself. So I started to get into the ketogenic diet, which is high fat, low carb, moderate protein, which you can do. Yeah, right? So like the majority of my diet is red meat and steak, which is the complete antithesis. Yeah, it is great, but no bread, no pasta, like that sort of thing. And I've seen great improvements with it. But what I tell people is whatever works for you, like find what works for you. For some people, the keto diet is great, and it's not a diet, it's a way of living, right?
Right, exactly. Life,
exactly.
Right, exactly.
But for some people, veganism works. Other people, vegetarianism. Other people, pescatarian. It depends on what works for your body.
Right.
So that's why it is so extremely important to be aware of your body. Be aware of like, oh, this does upset my stomach, or oh, I become bloated when I eat this, or oh, if I eat this over a period of like a month or so,
right.
then I start realizing that like I'm not gaining muscle, I'm gaining fat, and it's not healthy fat, you know.
Right.
So. Yeah, it's just, it's awareness. But with Kundalini, it is generally, it's vegetarianism. Yeah.
Did it take a long time to adjust to that?
To
adjust
keto?
To the complete vegetarian diet along with the Kundalini yoga. Like, do you find that's where you get the best results?
I get the best results when I'm listening to my body.
So basically, what works best for each person?
What works best for each person, right. Vegetarianism was working great. It was amazing. I was vegetarian for maybe like 5 years,
mm-hmm.
and literally like nothing in my diet changed, and then all of a sudden it was like literally I hit a wall over the period of a month.
Okay.
Like I was genuinely sick, and I was turning to my diet, and I was looking, I was like, I'm eating a lot of soy products, I'm eating a lot of carbs, I'm eating a lot of wheat, and all these other things that can be inflammatory.
Now that's interesting, because most people think that when you're on a vegetarian diet, that it's the best benefit. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Compared to say like a low carb diet, high fat. Mm-hmm. So that is very, very interesting that that's how you were feeling.
Yeah. Well, soy is estrogenic, so it encourages your body to produce estrogen. And so, in women, sometimes, honestly, there's some studies that show or suggest that women who eat a lot of soy products, mm-hmm. their menses will get messed up, their moodiness will become like a huge thing, which women are not inherently moody, but
no, of course not.
No, but moods will go up and down, because that's what soy does. With men, they could start to grow breasts. They could. Yeah, seriously. Soy can really mess a person up.
You're saying I need to get that vanilla soy milk out of my refrigerator?
You'd be surprised at how little soy is actually in soy milk.
Okay.
Very, very little. Yeah.
Gotcha. No, I wasn't aware of that. That's
yeah, it's a very small amount. Most of it is water and carrageenan.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is amazing. How long have you been teaching?
I've been teaching for, it'll be 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you even learn, how did you come across this? Like, how did you even come across this form of yoga? And were you doing any other forms of yoga beforehand?
Yes, I was doing the traditional Western mm-hmm. types of yoga. I was doing Baptiste, which is one of the hottest and bendiest and sweatiest of yogas that you could possibly do. But I was really enjoying that. I was living in Charlotte at the time, and that was my jam. Like, that's what I did pretty much every day. I didn't really meditate a whole lot. And then I moved to Texas to be with my husband, and my health started to kind of go down a little bit. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons why is because I was getting away from fitness. I was getting away from yoga and from walking and all these other things. So I was like, all right, I need to really get back into yoga. So I started to go to a local yoga studio and progressed pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And one of the teachers told me, hey, you should check out Yoga in Austin. They do, they pair up with MISCHA, which is a spouse program for the military, where you get a tuition, or you pretty much get your tuition up to a certain dollar amount paid for certain vocations. Mm-hmm. Yoga is one of them. Yoga in Austin is one of the places that they work with. So long story short, the Kundalini class, I really just kind of fell into it.
Okay.
I really just fell into it. It was either Kundalini or Hatha. And Hatha is a bit more based on body mechanics. It is also meditation, but it's not as... well, it's just a different form of yoga. It's kind of like a basic yoga. And it is normally the recommended first one to go to if you're going to do a yoga teacher training. But the Kundalini one just worked out so well with my schedule.
Okay.
And then I went in and I did my first class, or I went to my first class, and I was like, this is it. Like, I was just head over heels in love with it. Like, I was... so emotionally vulnerable after the class.
That is awesome.
It was, oh my God, like I cried. I was so open, and I was just, it was like I entered in an entirely different world.
That is
amazing. When I went back out. Yeah, it was, so I knew.
And
I knew.
Fortunate enough to have you here with us at Fayetteville State. What are your classes? What are the days and times?
They're every Tuesday from 6 to 6:30. There are some Tuesdays where class isn't happening, and you can find the class times on Bronco Advantage on the Wellness Ambassadors website, or on their page on Bronco Advantage. Again, 6 to 6:30 in the Rudolph Jones Student Center in room 238.
Jessica, thank you so much for coming. This has been so interesting. I hope you will come back and see us again.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You've been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jessica, thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate you coming. This has been Your Health in 15 Minutes. Make sure you join us next time where we will be talking about our Student Health Center. You'll find out about a load of information. Join us then. Thank you.
But chewing gum used to make me literally fall into a panic attack to the point where I actually had to use disability services in my undergrad.
Okay.
It was that bad. If somebody popped their gum in the middle of an exam, I would start panic attack, like full hyperventilating, crying, all of that.
Okay.
But then I got into Kundalini yoga, and I swear, like, you could be chomping your gum right here in front of me. I'm good. I'm completely fine because it rewires the brain.